Hello, and welcome to another episode of Permission to Grow. This is a podcast where we explore women's career stories and transitions, how we can learn to eliminate this idea of who we should be and instead give ourselves permission to grow. Today's guest is Arriane, and she is a professional business and life coach with over 15 years of experience, where she's transformed the lives of women all over the world. After a successful career in corporate America is when she embarked on this new journey filled with fun, excitement, and the occasional TV appearance. As a Facebook Live bombshell and the brains behind the successful program Lights, Camera, Action, How to Get Over Yourself and Do Video Already, she creates custom-made plans designed to help you surmount your obstacles and achieve your dreams. This episode is filled with practical advice, you guys, on how we can, as Arriane puts it, use our gifts and talents to be of service on this planet. I mean, that right there, I'm in love with this. And she talks about how we can build up our confidence as we're going through those career transitions and how we can learn to acknowledge that fear that can sometimes come up and how we can work with it and really continue to push forward to build those careers and lives that get us excited. This episode is really, really exciting, guys, and I hope you all enjoy it. So here it is. Hi, Arriane. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, so glad to be here, Kelsey.
Arriane and I were recently introduced through a mutual friend, and you know that feeling when you're talking to someone and you realize, like, yes, this person is speaking, they're speaking my language, they get it. Like, that's what happened when her and I met. We chatted just for a few minutes, but I left that conversation feeling energized and refreshed. And I knew just a little bit about her professional story, but I knew I wanted to know more. And so she's been so gracious to come on tonight. And I'm just ecstatic for her to share her career path, because this is a woman who is doing a multitude of things and doing them very, very well. She's an actor, a TV host, a business and life coach, and she's coaching women all over the world. And so I have so many questions and I want to learn as much as we can today. So I'm going to get right into my first question. And that is, when you were growing up, what did you want to be?
I love that question. It's so long ago. Growing up, I always thought I was going to be a veterinarian because my dad was a vet and my uncle was a vet and my grandpa was a vet. It was like I had this whole family of vets. So growing up, and I love animals, so I was like, I'm going to be a vet. And I went to college at Kansas State University in Manhattan, Kansas, and I was pre-vet for the first few years. And then I was kind of like, I don't really think this is, it was all of a sudden like, I don't really think this is what I want to do. So I think growing up, it was just, I never actually explored what I wanted to do. I never actually thought it. It was just like, oh, I should be a vet because everyone was like, you're so smart. You should be a doctor or a vet. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'd prefer to be a vet than a doctor. So it was just because people kind of told me that, and that's what my family did. So I was like, okay, that sounds good. But it clearly wasn't what I was meant to do, that's for sure.
Well, and I think that's the thing. The more women I talk to, we talk about this, midlife crisis a lot of people have. It's because a lot of times, myself included, we go into careers or paths that people are like pointing out, like, hey, you're really good at this. And I, for myself, never stop to think, like, will I actually enjoy this? Like, is this going to make me feel fulfilled? So, I mean, I followed a similar thing. And like, when you got to college and realized, like, this isn't what I want to do, like, how did you kind of maneuver out to find out what it is you did want to do?
Well, I didn't do it during college or after college. I was a slow learner. It took me a little longer than that. But I remember in college, when I was a senior, I got into a class that was like a leadership development class, and I kind of got in the class by fluke because I ran into someone like on faculty, and I wasn't like a campus leader. Like I kind of like snuck into this class. I was like, I just think I'd be great in this class, and somehow they let me in. And it was all these people that were like campus leaders and doing all these real cool things on campus, which I wasn't. But I got in that leadership class, and I was like, this is really cool. I love this. It's pretty much my favorite class in all of college. And so I remember that. but again, like I was already, I basically graduated with my pre-vet degree, whatever that was, life sciences or something like that. And I went into work as a pharmaceutical sales rep because I was like, well, that sounds like a good job. And then I went to work for Brighton Collectibles, a huge fashion company. I got an amazing job at a young age in sales with them. And I thought, again, people are like, this is a great job and you're so good at it. And I was like, right, you're right. Like, and it was a great job, and I was really good at it. I was super successful at what I did. And I was miserable. I was there 12 years, and for 7 of those years I was trying to leave. I was plotting my exit. So 5 years I was good. Then the last 7 I was like, oh my God, like I am really good at what I do and I am very successful and I'm so unhappy. So it wasn't until there was a major transition in my life in 2007, so 10 years ago, that I finally was like, oh, what do I really want to do? And what do I really want to explore? And that's when everything shifted. And it stemmed from that like class in college about leadership development, because that was like, oh, right, that's the kind of stuff I'm actually interested in, psychology and personal development and helping people be amazing. And that's the trajectory that I've been on for the last 10 years now, or longer actually, but yeah, around there.
And when you had that realization, like, this is not doing it for me, like you said, you were miserable those last few years, like, how did you actually just like stop and allow yourself to kind of start tuning in and figuring out what it is you do want? Because I feel like sometimes that's the hugest roadblock, is ourselves just being like, hang in there, it's going to get better. Like, how did you stop all that and just say, like, I need to focus on me?
Well, my path was, while I was working in the fashion business and living here in Los Angeles, I went to grad school. I went to grad school and I got a master's degree in spiritual psychology. So this is where everything really started changing in 2004 when I started this graduate program, because I always knew that I wanted to, if I got a master's, it would be in some sort of psychology. And then when I saw this with spiritual psychology, I was like, oh my God, I'm totally going to this school. Like, I don't even know what this is, but I have to go. And so when I went through that program, that 2-year program, and now I've been involved with that program for 13, 14 years now. But what happened was I was able to allow what was no longer authentic to me and wasn't truly what I desired to do. I was able to see it for the first time and really see like why I wasn't happy, and see that experience that there was a bigger purpose for me in my life. It was just became very clear. So my path was through that program, helped me start stripping away all these things that were really not serving me and start empowering myself in, what do I really want to do? What do I really want to create? And so I graduated from that program in 2006, and in 2007, and I left, and I gave my notice. I graduated, and 2 months later, I gave my notice to my company. I was so clear. I was like, I can't do this career 1 minute longer when my heart's not in it. And it was the scariest thing I've ever done. I mean, it's like walking off the ledge with no safety net, just like, I don't know what's next. I mean, because I didn't have a job. I was just like, I don't know, I guess I'll figure it out. And I just left. And I gave him 6 months notice and I left. And it was the scariest thing I've ever done. And I would do it again 1,000 times. And the road has not been like paved with gold and all sparkles and ponies. It was like a road of like tumbleweeds and rainstorms and sunshine and lightning and alligators and some kittens and some sparkles and then more thunderstorms and then more sparkles. It's because so many people go, follow your heart and the money will follow. And I'm like, no, that's not actually true. Follow your heart and there's going to be a lot of obstacles in your way, but you can do it.
Yes. And that's the most honest piece, because I think I talk about women even on the show all the time, and we're talking about all these messages we're getting about like, follow your passion and the money will follow, which I think at some point becomes true, but it's because you've put in 5, 10, 15 years of very long hours and dedication to like build this career or build this business that you're excited about. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And like when you were in it, when you were going through those hard times, the thunderstorms, the lightning, was there ever a part of you where it was like doubting your decision to step out, like out on your own?
100%.
Were you ever thinking like, man, a a traditional 9 to 5 with healthcare and a steady paycheck feels better.
I still feel like that sometimes. Are you kidding me? I mean, being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. That's for sure. I mean, there's a lot involved, and I choose to always be an entrepreneur. Now that I've been an entrepreneur for so many years, I'm like, oh, I can't imagine working for someone in that way again. But when the first couple of years, so here's what's funny is I tried to go back to my company like multiple times because I was like, this is hard, and like I wasn't making money, and I was like, I went from 6 figures and buying whatever I wanted to like not making a dollar and being like, okay, this is a life adjustment and this is not fun. And I tried to go back to my company, and I would call the owner of the company and I'd be like, like I can just work part time and da da da. And he'd be like, nope. I mean, he literally would just be like, no, I don't think so. And I was one of their top employees, so, but it was clear, it was so clear to me in that it was just life had to shut those doors for me because I wasn't strong enough to stand in myself yet to fully shut them. I wanted them open halfway, like I wanted to just kind of work part time and da da da. And the doors, they just shut the doors. So I was so clear at that time. I was like, oh, this is life saying, no, honey, you got to keep on this path. Like this is your path. So this life of an entrepreneur and what's going to be unfolding, like you got to stay with it. So thank God they said no to me, or I probably would have caved and gotten back in it.
Right. And I love that because I think there's so many of us that are just, we want to have a little bit of a safety net, but we're also dying to, do something that we've been thinking about for years, but don't feel like it's always the safest choice. And I just think that you're exactly right. Life, the universe shows us exactly what we need when we need it. And I just love that was part of your process. Like that's awesome to me. And
yeah.
When you were having this thought of like going back and forth and then you're like, nope, I'm going to stay in it. Like, did you bring other entrepreneurs around you to kind of show you the ropes, or were you navigating this new terrain on your own?
I was always I'm a big researcher, and I follow a lot of different people, and I like to look at people's different business models, and I have a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs and very, very, fabulously successful people and experts in health and fitness and all kinds of different things. So I was definitely getting a lot of, advice and support, and I hired a coach. I hired my first coach during that time, and that was awesome. And so I was definitely reaching out and building community. And, I went to a coaching program. Like I was really invested in trying to figure out, like, I just knew once I kind of got it, like once I kind of got the structure that I could run with it, but I didn't really have a structure. But the biggest thing for me, Kelsey, was when I was trying to figure it out myself, and I was trying to figure out like what I was going to do and what the business was. And I remember I was at a point where I was so challenged. Like I think I'd gone through all my savings. I went from having hundreds of thousands of dollars in my accounts, and I went through it all after I left my company because I literally wasn't making any money because I wasn't doing anything. Like I didn't know what I was doing. And so I went through all my savings, and I was like, minus $60 in my bank account. And I was like, oh my, like I'd never experienced this in my life. I'd always had very lucrative careers. And so I was so upset, and I was having panic attacks, and it was so scary and so stressful because I just didn't know how I was going to make a living and what I was going to do. And what I did was through my work of spiritual psychology, I have a practice of what I call a 32-day process, where every night before I went to bed, I would say, Spirit, show me how I can use my gifts and talents to be of service on the planet. Show me how I can use my gifts and talents to be of service on the planet. And I asked that every night before I went to bed for 32 nights, and nothing, like no messages came. Like nothing happened. I was like, this doesn't work. This is lame. Spirit's not helping me. Once again, I'm on my own. I was all like in my pity party. And then on the 33rd day, I got this call from this acting studio in Los Angeles, and they were like, hey, you host some TV shows and you do some stuff, and do you teach classes for actors on like the business of acting and their image and like how they should what they should do as an actor. And I was like, yeah, I totally teach those classes. Of course I do. I've taught those for so long. Sure. Of course I'd never taught one of those classes in my life. and, and they're like, great, can you teach class, whatever, this 4-week class? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so I literally started coaching the business of acting to actors, and that's how my coaching practice started. It was literally, how can I use my gifts and talents to be of service on the planet?
And I saw that on your website, and I thought that that was the most poignant question I think we can all be asking ourselves, because even if it, just like in your case, even if it doesn't answer right away, like if we start guiding our career with that as kind of the forerunner of what's, furthering our pursuits, I just feel like only goodness can come from that. I think that's incredible. And I mean, my biggest thing is I'm just picturing, if you're trying a new business, not where you want to be financially, like how do you have the confidence to be like, yes, I can do this, to this person who calls? Like, where does that come from? Had that just always been a part of you to just be confident and like go 100% in that direction?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's one of the things that I coach. I coach on confidence a lot. Basically, every client that comes to work with me always says that I work with entrepreneurs and experts all over the world, and so they'll always say, "God, I feel so much more confident in myself and in my business through our work together." And it's because I know that confidence isn't it's not like innate to everybody. So I look at confidence as a muscle that can be built, just like you can build a muscle in the gym. Because I wouldn't say I was born. I mean, maybe I walk through life with more confidence than most people, but I've had to cultivate it over and over and over again. And the only way I can cultivate confidence is by taking risks. It doesn't happen by me staying. It does not happen by that person calling me and going, "How do you teach classes?" and me being like, "No, I don't. I'm scared. No, I don't. Bye." That's not going to build my confidence. The only way I'm going to build it is by saying yes to something and risking something and getting outside my comfort zone. And it's probably going to be really scary. And then I'm going to build my confidence. So people have it very twisted around confidence of like, oh, I'll make that phone call. I'll reach out to that potential client. I'll do the thing I've always wanted to do when I have the confidence to do it. But life doesn't actually work that way. It's literally the opposite. You have to take the action first in order to build the confidence.
Yes. And I mean, I think that's the scariest part, right? Because I feel like a lot of people who, whether they're starting a business or they want to change career paths, whatever it might be, like the fear of what could happen is always 10 million times worse than the reality of what it's going to be if we say yes and walk into that space. Like when you walked into that space and said, yes, I coach actors, like how did that first session go?
It was great because I was nervous, but it's okay because it's what I'm here to do. Because when I'm being of service, I'm clear that it kind of doesn't matter what happens. Because it's not, how do I explain this? Like I just started I have a group coaching that's all around video. It's called Lights, Camera, Action, How to Get Over Yourself and Do Video Already. And so everybody's scared to do video. Like everyone who comes to me and wants to, it's like, I know I need to use video to do my business, but I'm scared. Like I'm so nervous to be on camera and I'm scared and I don't know what to say and I don't think I'm pretty enough and I don't think I'm good enough. And I'm like, well, why would you be a master at this why would you have confidence around this if you've never done it? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you even expect to be confident at this if you've never done it before? So, like, for me, teaching this group coaching, this is the first time I've ever taught a group coaching like this. And I do it through video. Obviously, it's a video program, so everything I do is through video. So I do it through Facebook Live into a Facebook group. And so the first time that I did this Facebook Live into this Facebook group for this program, I was sitting there going, oh, dear Lord, I hope this works. I hope they listen to me. I hope I have some good stuff to say, and I hope they're not bored. And I mean, I'm going through the same thing that everybody else does when I do something new.
Right. And
but
it's
I
just
do it.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Because I think it's very easy to, stay at home and say, oh, I have to research how to do this video thing for hours and hours. And then I have to call 5 people and ask what their experience was like with it. And then I have to, and all it does is kind of delay us diving in. And I talked to an entrepreneur earlier in a earlier episode, and she said, you don't know what you need to know to start a business until you've started a business.
Yes.
And it's so true, because like during that first few months, or even during your first video session that you're doing now, like, are you learning things that you didn't even know were part of the equation when you first?
Yes. Yeah, it's like you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And you can only do that through learning. And I love what your other entrepreneur said, because it's like, yes, you can learn all you want about having a business and growing a business, but there's a million things that you learn once you're in it. Oh my God. And the thing about the fear is that it's when you're thinking about the fear of whatever it is. Oh, if I start this business, and then what if I fail? Or if I make a call to this person to grow my business, what if they say no? So we're just thinking these fears in our head. So the fear is actually the moment before you take the action. Like, it's literally like this moment in time, this space. That's where the fear is. It's not in the actions, because then you do the actions and you're like, oh, well, that wasn't a big deal.
Right. Yes. And I think the biggest thing is I don't know if you have any advice, just like general, like how have you seen people overcome fear? Is there any like equation? Is there anything other than just like jumping in to
Yeah,
reduce
because
that fear?
because I don't look at it like you're going to ever overcome the fear. The fear, see, and my teachers taught me, the fear is probably always going to be there. You just walk through the fear anyway. So I don't ever coach a client on like overcoming the fear. I'm like, no, like, let's work with it. Like, yeah, we all have fears. So are we gonna let it hold us back? Or are we gonna have your message get bigger than your fear? And that's how you can walk through it. When you have whatever the message is in your business and what you're doing, like you with your podcast, you have this desire to spread this message to your listeners, to your audience. And so whatever fears you had in creating a podcast, your message was bigger than your fears because you're doing it.
Right. Oh, yes. And I think what in my previous professional experiences, what I found is the fear was always, disappointing a boss or not performing to my expectation. But in this case, I'm just so stoked that there's a possibility that one woman could hear an episode and be energized and motivated or empowered by it. Like, I know I'm going to fail. I know I'm going to make mistakes, but like, you're exactly right. The opportunity for the message to get out there is better or bigger than any of that. I love that.
Yeah.
And when you're thinking about when you have a business and you're starting and you're going to this coaching session and you're starting, I mean, this is now almost 10 years in that you're doing the video piece, but like when you first started with that coaching with the actors, like, did you have a website? Did you have a phone number that people could call with questions? Like, from a logistics standpoint, what parts had to be there for you for that business?
For me, it was me, because I'm a coach, and this is how I coach my coaches too. Every relationship leads to the client. Like, it doesn't. It's a one-on-one relationship always in any business. It's like the relationship is what builds our business. So however that relationship needs to be built, and everybody's business is different, but I work with a lot of experts and entrepreneurs that are in, let's call it person-to-person businesses, whether they're a health and fitness expert or a real estate agent, or even if they work for a big company. Like, I had someone who worked for Amazon, but she's working with, in business development, so she's working with people all over the world. So it's all person-to-person. So here's the great news. You don't need anything except you to start a business, because we have this idea that we have to have a fancy website and business cards and all this stuff. But when you focus on whatever you're trying to build, you pretty much any business that's going to be started, you basically need one client to start. Like you have to have a client, right? Of some sort, a customer, a client, whatever it is. So it's it's always a practice of how do you slow down and focus on that one person, because it's really, you build a business one person at a time. You don't really build it in mass until it reaches a critical point, and then it kind of grows in mass by itself. But most people who are entrepreneurs and starting a business, it's one client at a time. So when you can slow it down and realize that every business is just a relationship building business, and how do I focus on the relationship that's in front of me? Who's the one person I can reach out to? Who's the one person that might need my support or my service? Who's the one person that pops into my head that I can pick up the phone and call? And that doesn't require websites or business card.
Yes. And I think that's so encouraging, to be honest, to people who are thinking about starting businesses, because there's this idea that everything has to look flawless and be how it's going to look in 5 years. And that's just, in my experience, that's never the case. Like stuff is always growing and developing, and we're getting better and we're learning new techniques. And like you with your clients, like you have this new opportunity to engage them with video and how they are able to share that with their business communities. Like that's something 10 years ago people may not have even thought about as a method of communication. Like, so I think that's really helpful for our people who are listening and kind of in that spot of maybe thinking of starting a business. And
it's kind of a distraction. Like I had a client who she's a health and fitness expert and wanted to do like nutritional programs and workout programs, and she was really focused on getting a really great website and getting her blog and da da da. But then she wasn't focusing on clients. So then she has this really pretty website and a pretty blog, but no clients. So who cares? You know? So it's like it's really just focus on the relationships. And it's funny because I still do this today because yeah, I have a website, but like you say, it's always growing and always changing. Like the minute I get a website done, I'm like, oh, I don't like it. Let's redo it. And you know, it's always in flow. And I have my video programs that I'm really focused on right now with clients. And it was so funny because I was talking to a potential client the other day that was interested in my video program, and she goes, well, do you have a website for this or like a sales page or something? I go, you're talking to the website and you're talking to the sales page.
I just think it's so true because especially in a client-facing business like life coaching, like business coaching, like at the end of the day, even if you have an incredible website or your resume is outstanding, if you're not an engaging and encouraging and like results-driven coach, like that website does nothing for anybody, like
right.
other than hold a beautiful spot in the web space. Like, and so how do you, I think one of my biggest questions is when clients are coming to you, like one, how are they getting connected with you? Is it all like referral? And then once they get there, what are they coming to you for? Like, what do you see most frequently that keeps coming up in your business?
Yeah, great questions. My business is built as so many businesses are referrals. You know, it's because it's all relationship building. So it's, you know, I work with a client and they, you know, we have a really amazing relationship and their life continues to transform and shift and they tell their friends. So it's all referrals. And I have, I'll be on stage sometimes at other people's events or podcasts like this, you know, every time I'm on a podcast, like clients come in because people hear me and they connect to me and they're like, oh, wow, like maybe she's the coach for me. Because they hear something that sparks in them some possibility or new thought that they hadn't thought of. And so I do, you know, a fair amount of speaking and podcasts and things like that. And then I'm also very active on social media. And I use the power of video, of Facebook Live and Insta Story and Instagram videos to build my business and build my brand, because with video, that's how people can see me immediately and know me, like me, and trust me immediately, as with anyone's business. That's why I love the power of video. That's why I coach around it so much. So people come in from all different walks, but it's all because it's either a referral or they see me somewhere and, you know, they feel a connection and relationship with me. And then what they come to me for, you know, it's so interesting, Kelsey, because it's, well, everyone comes to me because she wants to build her business in some way, because I'm very focused on, helping people build their business. But what I do that's different than a lot of coaches is I'm not just about the goals. Like I had a client that came to me recently that's a real estate agent, very successful real estate agent, and she says, my business, I make like 500,000 this year, and I'd like to make 1 million. And I was like, great, okay. But most coaches would be like, okay, let's just do the plan of how you're going to make the 1 million, blah blah. But I know that in order to go from 500,000 to $1 million, she has to change inside. She has to shift some of her belief systems and her points of view about herself and about her business. And we have to do some inner work, some inner processing in order to get her to where she wants to go and really see why she wants that goal. Because if she thinks it's going to make her happy, she's confused. And most people come to me and they think they want this goal, and we start moving towards the goal, and what happens is inner resistance comes up, fears come up, limiting beliefs about herself, about, how she judges herself. All this stuff comes up. So that's where I get to work with my clients, with all the tools that I have in spiritual psychology of really shifting the inside so that she feels powerful in her journey and is happy in the journey. And then the goals become almost a side product. Because what's happening is life continues to expand in such miraculous ways, and she feels happier, more confident, more radiant, more powerful, more joyful. And then her business opens up because she's feeling this way about herself and her life. So then the business always opens up in a whole new way.
Right. And I mean, I think when you first said, a client comes in, their goal might be $1 million to grow, up 500,000. Like, do you ever get a client that comes in and they say that's their goal, and you try to kind of break that down, like why that's even a goal in the first place? Like, what is it we're searching for with that goal? Have you ever found clients resist and they're just like, no, just like you put in your website, like there's no magic pill, which I love, because I think by the time a lot of us are like, I might need to talk to a career coach, like we're probably potentially in crisis mode. We're like, I need someone to go, I need to give them my resume and them to just tell me like, you're a doctor or you should be, and so like, but that's not the reality of coaching. I don't think that's effective if that is how some things are, like, that's not how we figure it out. And so like, if you get a client like that, how do you break it down to be like, let's get real about why this is important?
There's a lot of ways to call it get under the hood with people, and some people are very resistant to this. It's not generally who I work with. That's not my ideal client. My ideal client has is willing to do the personal development piece that I do with clients. So I probably wouldn't work with someone who is just like, no, like I want to make the $1 million and that's it. I'd be like, I'm not your coach, because that's just not what I do. So I'd refer them out to somebody else. But I have had clients that I work with that it's a little tricky. It's very intimate with self to go deep within and really shine the light on these places inside that are hurting, because that's all that's happening is there's places inside that are hurting, and they're crying out for attention, but they get masked by call it these goals. Like if I have the boyfriend, then I'll be the husband generally. Let's say that. If I get married and have a baby, then I'll be happy. If my business is successful, then I'll be happy. So that's all what I call a dangling carrot. And so there's ways that I can work with clients in order to see that it's a dangling carrot. And it's as simple as this. If it's like I call it STEM sentence completions. So if I'm successful, then that means what about me? If I'm not successful, then that means what about me? So basically you have an opportunity to turn everything around to yourself to see what you're actually making it mean. And even like, what's my definition of success? Because most people come to me and their definition of success is ridiculous. It's like, I have to have a great business and I have to be working out, 5 days a week and eating right and having my partner and I like having a clean house and like having great sex. And I'm like, wow, that's okay, wow, okay, good luck with that because it's so unrealistic, and it's putting this not that we can't all have like an amazing life in all areas. That's absolutely 100% possible. But it's putting the parameters around what success is and defining it into this thing that's outside of us. And that's where the pain comes in. So with clients who are resistant, it's pretty easy for me to be like, I start with like, well, what's your definition of success? And when they're like, I have to be making this much money, and I have to have, my business has to look like this, and I have to be, have this much body fat. And so it's easy to gently and gracefully reflect to them that that's all outside of them.
Right.
So when success is outside of us, we can't feel it because we're not owning it. Because success, nothing's outside of us. Success is not outside of you. It's not outside of me. I get to create my definitions of success. I get to create my experience of success. So if I walk around saying, I'll be successful when I'm making $1 million a year, then I'm dangling a carrot that I will never feel successful until I have $1 million a year. But by then, the carrot's already changed to $5 million a year.
Right. Exactly. And like, I think that would be one of the hardest things from a coaching standpoint. And maybe it's not, but I feel like setting expectations for clients as to the amount of work or the duration for actually achieving these goals. Cause like, I feel like it would be hard to say like, oh, okay, we can achieve these goals in 3 months or 6 months. Like, how do you lay it out for them that it's kind of like an ongoing muscle, like you said earlier, like that we keep having to work and get better?
Well, I think goals are great. So if I set, and we're talking a lot about business stuff, so it's like if my client sets a goal of like, I'm giggling because I just like this comes up all the time. So if my client sets a goal of I want to have 20 clients in my coaching practice in the next 3 months, and then she has 15, not 20, and then she's calling herself a loser because of it. Well, that's just taking a goal and whipping herself. So basically, the goal doesn't matter. Like, why? Like, that's ridiculous. That's like what? So the only reason to have goals is to have, this thing that we know we're striving towards and excited about, but we don't get to use it against ourselves if we don't get it, if we don't have it, if we don't achieve it. Because in how I coach and my background from spiritual psychology, it's this or something better for my highest good. So I encourage all my clients, and we work on goals and like accountability around them and structure and like what needs to happen and all of that. And it's this or something better for the highest good, knowing that whatever happens in the moment of every day is actually for my highest good. So if I have a goal to have 20 clients in 3 months and I have 15, how can I really trust and know that 15 is for my highest good, and I'm going to learn and grow from the experience, period.
Yes. And I feel like for a lot of people, that's like reframing, like changing our inner dialogue, because I think for a lot of us, we might be like, oh, well, we didn't make the 20, like we failed. And then you're exactly right. It becomes this punishment or like self-loathing that we put on ourselves that's completely unnecessary, because it's all part of the process. And at the end of the day, we're still 15 clients more than we were 3 months ago or whatever it was. Yeah. That's awesome. And I want to hear just from someone, if they're listening to this, I'm going to get to like how they could work with you, but if they're listening to this and thinking like, wow, I think I could be of service in a coaching capacity, like what advice would you give them about either the business or just the process of starting, or anything you've learned from it? Like, what should new coaches hear?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because there's so many. First of all, there's so many ways to coach and be of service, because it looks all kinds of different ways. But really, it's if you want to, it's as simple as this, Kelsey. Asking, who can I serve today? I mean, it's literally, that's what we as coaches do, is I go, who can I serve today? So if I didn't have any clients, let's say, But I was like, oh, I don't know what happened, but I got 0 clients. All I would do, and all I still do, is look through my phone, in my texts and in my contacts, look through my emails, look through Facebook, and go, who could I serve today? And reach out to them and go, hi, Kelsey, like, how can I be of service? That's it. And so as a coach, as a light worker, that's what coaches are. We're just being of service with, life, light, whatever you want to call it, working through us. So it's literally just, when you see someone challenged on Facebook, which you see people's pain on Facebook, like reaching out to them, being like, hey, look like there might be something up for you. Would it be helpful to have a conversation with me? I'm here for you.
I love that. And if people are listening right now and they're thinking like, this woman sounds like she would be an incredible fit for my life or for my business, like how would our listeners connect with you?
Yeah. And I'm so happy to have a conversation with, if you're listening, if anyone's listening and you're like, gosh, if something was stirred in you and sparked in you, then let's talk, because I am here to serve. I mean, this is what I love to do. So there's a couple different options. I have so much focus in my business around the video aspect, and that's super fun. My Lights, Camera, Action, How to Get Over Yourself and Do Video Already is this awesome online group coaching program that's super fun, and I take you by the hand and walk you through the inner journey of releasing those doubts and beliefs to really magnify your message utilizing the power of video. And so you can go to connectwithariane.com. So it's easy. Just connectwithariane.com, and you can sign up there to have a conversation with me. So that's the easiest way to get direct access to me right now. So even if video isn't your gig, go to that website anyway. It's built for video, but you can just type in the comments, be like, I heard Arriane on Kelsey's podcast and I'd like to talk to her. And then you can sign up to talk to me that way. So so if you're listening, I'm so happy to have a conversation with you and see how I can best support you. And it's just at www.connectwithariane.com.
That's perfect. And when we launch this episode, when everyone's able to hear this and listen to it, we'll have all of her social media and opportunities and websites where you can connect with her. So if this is stirring something inside you, I definitely encourage you guys to reach out. She is incredible. And as we kind of close up, I just want to ask you one question. When we're looking back over the last 8 to 10 years where you made these monumental career shifts and really built a career completely based on your skill set and what you enjoyed and what made you feel fulfilled and work, like looking back, is there anything that you've picked up along the way that you were like, this is a great life lesson, or like, I taught myself this and now I'm incredibly grateful for it? Or
wow, gosh, if I just picked one, I think that one of the things that I come back to all the time is that outer experience is a reflection of inner reality. Outer experience is a reflection of inner reality. So for me, that gives me dominion over my experience, because I know that if something is not working in my, if I'm stressed or I'm challenged or something's not lining up in my external world, it's not about the external world. It's just my mirror. So I go within and I go, okay, what is this reflecting to me? What am I telling myself about this? Where do I have a judgment around this? Where do I have an opportunity to heal or release or clear something? So that I do my inner work and then my outer experience shifts.
That makes me so happy that you said that, because I think it's very easy to look at situations we may be in and be like, oh, the universe hates me. Like I'm not getting paid enough, or I have a crappy work environment, or things just aren't great situationally. But really just taking the time to be like, what's going on inside that is not making this all tick? That right there, you guys, it's just wisdom and it's experience that I think you're able to share with your clients that you can't read in any book, or you can't, Google and figure out. So yeah. I just I am so appreciative of your time. I'm so grateful for the work that you do with women all over the world and supporting them to be their absolute best selves in their business and in their life. And so I want to thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun. I'm so happy to be here, Kelsey. I'm so glad you asked me. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. So we will put all the information on our website so you're able to connect with Arriane. And I just want to thank all of you for listening to this episode of Permission to Grow. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Permission to Grow. This is a podcast where we explore women's career stories and transitions, how we can learn to eliminate this idea of who we should be, and instead give ourselves permission to grow. Today's guest is Arriane, and she is a professional business and life coach with over 15 years of experience, where she's transformed the lives of women all over the world. After a successful career in corporate America is when she embarked on this new journey filled with fun, excitement, and the occasional TV appearance. As a Facebook Live bombshell and the brains behind the successful program Lights, Camera, Action, How to Get Over Yourself and Do Video Already, she creates custom-made plans designed to help you surmount your